Like Dr. Norman Borlaug, Iowa knows ag. In fact, it's what I've been hearing from our farmers and community leaders as we host a series of roundtable discussions, most recently in Perry, Iowa. Now, we made a commitment in 2024 when Tyson shut down that no family should be left behind in Perry. As a result, we've received real results from holding Tysons accountable with our community leaders. That includes year-round meal service at all 3 of our Perry schools, a resupply of the food pantry, tens of thousands of dollars to make sure that families don't go hungry. But that's just a first start. We've got to also help rebuild Perry strong. And that's why I'm so proud that JBS has decided to set up shop right here in Iowa, being able to feed not only 4 million families, but bringing 500 good-paying jobs and $135 million of economic investment right to Perry, Iowa. We're going to keep working forward for the Perry community, but for ag in America as well.
It is now the 16th day of the federal government shutdown with no immediate resolution in sight. Today, Congresswoman Kathy Castor is urging Speaker Mike Johnson to call the House back into session so both sides can negotiate a plan to reopen the government. News Channel 8's political reporter Ty Russell has more.
We've really drawn a line in the sand.
Congresswoman Castor does not have a timeline for reopening the government just one day after Republican Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna said this.
I'm hearing that the government will not reopen until potentially after Thanksgiving.
Democrats say they want a bill on the floor to prevent Affordable Care Act subsidies from expiring, along with reversing Medicaid cuts. Castor says that'll help keep overall insurance premiums from rising. Republicans want a continuing resolution passed to temporarily fund the government for a few weeks first.
What is your response to Republicans saying pass the CR and then discuss?
We need to cancel the cuts immediately. What's happening is health insurance companies right now are finalizing their premiums. They're going to be online here in Florida by November 1.
As for food assistance programs during the shutdown, the USDA is concerned about SNAP benefits in November, and the White House is already using tariff revenue to keep the WIC program funded. I'm Ty Russell, 8 on your side.
So I have one question just to start the day. Do you bow down to kings? No! Hell no! Do we, the people, bow down to kings? No! We will not submit to an authoritarian leader. We fought an American Revolution to get rid of King George, and we're not going back. Are we going back? No! Hell no! And we're here at NIH. And as Anna said, one of the things the president has done is illegally withhold really important investments, life-saving investments and treatments and cures for all of our families. Are we going to stand for that? Hell no! Hell no, he's disrupted clinical trials, clinical cancer trials. People are hurting and some people are dying because of the actions of President Trump when it comes to denying. Shame. That's why we're here today to declare that in the United States, we don't have kings and we're not going back. I want to thank you for being here because it is so important that people all over the country and millions of Americans are coming out in their neighborhoods and on streets to peacefully protest what is happening in the United States.
President Trump's cabinet, Republican leaders say Democrats won't reopen the government until these Hate America rallies take place.
They're at least waiting to this crazy No Kings rally this weekend. And, no kings equal no paychecks.
You can't be a king if the party out of power can shut down the government.
They're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king.
Right. No, but just so that Chuck Schumer could go and say, I'm fighting Trump.
He got hurt by his party. He's just so dead that he'll do anything.
People should be forcefully rising up against this.
That was the most prominent elected Democrat in America calling for a forceful uprising.
Actually, these funding levels had been voted on by Democrats earlier this year. And so it's not like it's a new issue for them. Unfortunately, what we've seen since then is that the Democrats would rather shut down the government because they want to make outrageous and unreasonable demands for additional spending. And we've seen time and time again over the last 10 days that they're willing to hold the country hostage.
Good morning, everybody. How are y'all doing? It's wonderful to be with you. I'm very proud to be, well, first, of course, represent us in the U.S. House of Representatives, but also to be a son of the West Side of San Antonio. Growing up, we moved 4 times around the West Side. I went to Tafoya Middle School and Carvajal Elementary. And when my grandmother came to this country in 1922 as an orphan from Coahuila, Mexico, she settled right by Little Flower Church in a family of extended relatives who my grandmother dropped out of school when she was in elementary school, but who worked so hard to help their kids and their grandkids achieve the American dream. And although all of us in our own families, in our own lives, have lived that experience and are familiar with it, I have been surprised being in places like Washington and California and all of the places that I've had a chance to go over the years, how many people don't know the stories of communities like the West Side of San Antonio. And I want to give you just a quick story about that illustrates that and also explains why this is so important. In 2020, I was chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus in the U.S. Congress, and we had a meeting with the Association of American Publishers. These were some of the top publishers from the biggest publishing companies in the United States and all over the world. The folks that publish the books that you see in schools and in colleges and universities. And I asked one of the publishers a very basic question. I asked him if he could name 3 Latinos or Latinas who had had a significant impact in American history. I was asking this gentleman who was a CEO, very accomplished, Ivy League educated, very ambitious, who was sending textbooks into all of our schools across the country, whether he could name 3 people from a population that makes up 20% of the country, 3 figures. This man, in this earnest conversation that about 25 or 30 of us were having, he thought about my question for 5 or 10 seconds. And he finally said, "No, I can't." And I thought about that later in the year, or I thought about that as I thought about what happened in El Paso, Texas in 2019, where this madman drove 10 hours from Dallas to El Paso and killed 23 people and injured more than 20 others because he considered them, quote unquote, Hispanic invaders to Texas. And I thought, how does somebody come up with that idea? How does that kind of tragedy happen in a country where Latinos, where communities like this make up such a significant part of our country? And I don't think that there's a single answer, but I do think that one of the answers is that the Latino story and the Mexican American story have been left out of the telling of the larger American story. So this is an important effort to tell our story, to be defined by our contributions to this country and our successes to the prosperity of this country. In government, in science, in arts, in culture, in business, in every field that you can imagine, great things have come from this community. We've been blessed by wonderful leaders, not only in the present like Terry Castillo, but also by Maria Berriozabal, who served so wonderfully for years on the city council, by Henry Cisneros, a son of the West Side, and former mayor and cabinet secretary, and by incredible leaders who continue the energy and the passion for the West Side, like Graciela Sanchez at the Esperanza Peace and Justice Center. So thank you. God bless you for telling our story and make sure that we are known by the things that we have done for this country and not by the stereotypes that come from the White House and come from all of these folks who have become hate mongers in this time that we're in today. May God bless y'all. It's wonderful to be here with you.
I'm here at the King's Rally supporting thousands of people who have shown up to People's Square to protest this tyranny that we're facing. You know, somebody sent me something to my office, which I think is very, very instructive. It says that you can't love your country if you hate half the people in it. And today what we're seeing is that minds are coming together. There's a lot of people who are MAGA who are out here, and they're just plain old people in wheelchairs, people who are bringing their kids, because people are now realizing that what a democracy is about all of us, number one, being together, and number two, standing up. for our Constitution.
I think it's important for America to understand that we're asking our air traffic controllers to not just work 5 days or 40 hours a week. We're asking them to work oftentimes 6 days, 50 plus hours a week because we don't have enough controllers. And then to think, Batya, that after that they have to go and drive for DoorDash or drive for Uber so they're going to have enough money to put food on the table or pay their mortgage. It's unacceptable. And they're frustrated. They deserve to be treated better. And I don't think they can reconcile why Democrats want to support health care for illegal migrants and put those people over their paychecks and those people who keep our skies safe.
Bailing out Argentina doesn't help my market. Sending me the tariff money that me and every other taxpayer in this country is paying for. I buy parts and I buy groceries and I'm paying the tariffs exactly like everybody else is. Sending me that money doesn't fix my problem. I mean, to me, currently all we want to do is throw money everywhere at problems instead of actually sit down and try to fix one. If Argentina fails, okay, they're my second biggest competition. If we're going to make American agriculture great and make it stand on its own 2 feet, then I need my second biggest competitor to fail.
So one of the biggest things that we export is soybeans all around the world. And some of our biggest market is China. And talking to some farmers, they're basically losing it. So, this idiot, Donald Trump, got in a fight with China, not recognizing that China also has levers in it. So what's happening now is China is basically squeezing our farmers. They've bought no soybean at all from our American farmers. Either the harvest is coming and they're not going to have any markets to sell. What does that mean for them? Well, they're going to have to dump their soybean onto whatever market they can, which means it's going to lower the price off for soybean. And a lot of them are just not going to be able to make the payments. A lot of these guys really and gals have loans on their property. That's how they buy property. That's how they buy, the equipment they need. And now they're going to have to, this is going to come due and either going to have to find the money or they're going to end up going under. When Donald Trump and his buddies bail out Argentina, that is giving the opportunity for Argentinians to basically undersell us because Argentina is the second largest exporter of soybean after Brazil. What also happens is your markets dry up. So next year, there's going to be a bunch of people that still aren't going to want to buy U.S. soybeans because they're going to have these new relationships with these Argentinian soybean growers, all because Donald Trump want to start a stupid fight and then backs up one of his rich buddy friends in Argentina. Good job. Way to make America great again.
What a beautiful day for the No Kings rally. I had to step away from the crowd because it is so noisy. There are so many people here, so many people, multi-generations, people here for a lot of different reasons, but they're all here for one reason. They love the United States. They understand how the Constitution is supposed to work. And they want to make sure that Congress, people like me, stand up and do our job and not let President Trump just rubber stamp and do whatever he wants. So that's why they're here for the No Kings rally. And I thank them for being here.
Is there any chance the American people can expect anything different, again, as we move into week 3 of this government shutdown? A new strategy, dare I say compromise?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. First, I want to make sure your viewers know that we did negotiate with the Democrats before all this chaos began. We went to them and said, we're going to do a CR like they did 13 times under Joe Biden. What do you need? We think we should have it until January. They said, no, we want a clean CR and we want it to end on November 21st. We agreed. That was the compromise. So we all thought that given Chuck Schumer's and Democrats' love of CRs, that they would easily rubber stamp something like this. Of course, they went the other way. So to educate your viewers further, if you watch Schoolhouse Rock, you know that in the House of Representatives, we passed a CR, sent it over to the Senate. I think now 11 times Democrats have blocked opening up the government. So the compromise that they offered was, we want you to spend $1.5 trillion, then we'll open up the government. And also you have to rubber stamp $450 billion in the Obamacare subsidies, or we're going to keep the government closed. Would you negotiate with someone who insisted on spending $1.5 trillion and $450 billion? I wouldn't. And so that's what we have said is open the government back up and let's have a real debate about so many issues, whether it be Venezuela or, of course, the Obamacare subsidies. But shutting down the government only hurts the citizens who already paid taxes. That's why we're standing by our guns and hoping that the Senate will actually pass something and get this government open.
But once you step foot on these grounds, you can hear the rumbling coming from around the bend. You can feel the that babies are doing in hospitals immediately upon being born. And then there's one call and response in all of college football that stands above them all, and that's because what's that coming down the track? What's that coming down the track? It's the mean machine in the red and black. Ain't nothing finer in the land. Listen. Then a drunk obnoxious Georgia fan. Go dogs. Go dogs. Go. Dogs. Stick them. Listen, when you're down here and you're stomping around in some big country boots that you bought at a local store down the road, you can't help but love everything that's great with our country. Football, boozing, great times. It's Georgia football, and today we got a top 10 matchup to celebrate in between the hedges, brother.
The No Kings rally is Denver. Trump has co-opted academia, he's co-opted corporate America and the Republican Party. We must stand together as citizens to fight against autocracy, to make sure that we have equal opportunity for all and health care for all Americans.
Hey, Alaska, I was just briefed here at the Alaska National Guard building on J-Bear at the State Emergency Operations Center. So many people are doing incredible work. And then the Coast Guard Incident Command Center, all in this building. I just want to say, look, we're suffering through a huge tragedy with this storm. 3 lives right now, we think, lost. 1 confirmed, 2 missing. But I will tell you this, the work of the young men and women here, Coast Guard, National Guard, troopers, and then all the supporting agencies, it's literally saved dozens of lives. 51 saved rescue missions. So that's like a record in Alaska. That's just unbelievable. If you see someone who's been doing that, they're working 24/7, literally here, thank them. Now what we're going to go do, we're going to the Egan Center, we're going to the Alaska UAA Center in terms of seeing, unfortunately, some of our displaced fellow Alaskans and from these communities out in western Alaska. But what we're doing, we're pressing FEMA, Homeland Security, and the White House to approve the governor's declaration that will unleash a lot more federal help. But so far, Alaskans are coming together, tribal, state, local, Coast Guard, all the big communities that have done such a great job here to save lives. And that's the beginning of this. Now we got to help put lives back together. It's going to take longer, but we're all united in doing that.
Hi, it's Suzan. Happy Diwali. I'm in Redmond, Washington, celebrating Diwali with members of our Hindu community. I wish everyone a joyful and peaceful Festival of Lights.
To assemble and peacefully protest.
Yes, sir.
And we're using our voices to do that. And so, in so doing, ladies and gentlemen, we are exercising the attributes of the beloved community that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. aspired for us. And indeed, patriots of all colors and stripes have wanted that. They may not have wanted it for all, but we're here to advance the cause for freedom, liberty, and justice for all. And so, instead of racism, sexism, xenophobism, instead of poverty, instead of racism, instead of militarism, we call upon the nation, as our democracy is crumbling today, to rebuild our democracy so that it looks like we the people. It is of, by, and for the people, and it exhibits the attributes of the beloved community.
Venezuela in a show of force by President Trump. This comes as the White House takes down another drug boat in the area, while the president confirms he has authorized CIA action inside of the regime. Trump summing it all up with this message for Nicolás Maduro. Listen.
Mr. President, it has been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources.
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to around with the United States.
Wow, strong words. Maria Salazar, she's the congresswoman who serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. She's also the chairwoman of the Western Hemisphere Committee. So this is your space, Maria. Give me an assessment of how Donald Trump, our president, is doing on this issue.
Let's clap for Trump. And I'm a proud Republican at this hour, and I want send the message to everybody that's watching us. He is doing the right thing. This is a historical moment to free the hemisphere from the bad hombres.
So the pressure is mounting. You're seeing these B-52 bombers. They're flying off the coast of Venezuela. As I mentioned earlier, the president confirming that CIA on the ground. What is happening with Maduro right now? How is he feeling? Do you think that chances of him leaving in a peaceful way and a peaceful transition to the opposition party who won the election is likely to happen now?
That would be ideal. And that is what Maduro needs to be thinking. Let me leave. Let me go somewhere, enjoy the profits of my labor, and just give the country back to the opposition. Maria Corina Machado, who's hiding somewhere in Caracas, they have a plan together. The opposition won 70-30, and they're the legitimate president. People need to understand they have the largest reserves of oil in the world. Those reserves need to be in the hands of a democratic government, not in the hands of these drug kingpins.
So it's interesting. Venezuela is very unique in that way.
Yes.
When that transition happens, this is a country that can stand itself up. It has the resources to do that.
And let me say something. They will definitely, and she has told me repeatedly that they want to work with the oil American companies, the American companies that do the oil drink. So this is the perfect moment for us to do business with him.
Maduro was trying, actually, to have it both ways. So he's been messaging out there. He's been using other people, also himself, to say, hey, I'll leave, but in the vacuum, we need the military in place, which, of course, are all his cronies and all his people. He'd kind of be like Autopen, right? He'd be operating the government from whatever country he went to through his cronies.
No.
And President Trump and Marco Rubio both said, that ain't happening. And so he really is isolated further, not just through President Trump, but also his allies are fleeing. The Russians, we saw people from the Russian embassy fleeing last week as well. So these are big
They know what's coming. We have 10% of our naval force in the Caribbean. We have the Ghost, which is this perfect ship where we do all the operations from. We have Naval SEALs, Green Berets. Yes, this is exactly what we need to do.
Before the end of the year, do you think that we'll see a change?
No doubt about it. And remember that December 10th is in Oslo, is when the Nobel Peace Prize award is going to be given to Maria Corina. And we certainly hope that she is the legitimate president of the country. She will go and be able to receive it. And she's told me that she wants President Trump to go with her.
To receive it.
To receive it. So
amazing.
Let's hope that happens.
Well, massive developments right here in our hemisphere.
Yes.
We're glad you're on it. And we're so happy to have a president who's so focused.
We need to congratulate President Trump because I was in journalism for 35 years. I have never seen a president in the United States with the fortitude and the desire to free this hemisphere forever from the bad hombres. And Maduro is a very bad one. He's the head of a drug cartel called the Solis.
Yes. So
thank you for the opportunity to send this message.
Absolutely. And so many Latin Americans rooting for this effort as well.
My district 27 in Florida, the Venezuelan Americans are praying.
All right. Maria Salazar, Congresswoman out of Florida. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, it's great to be here with Adam. We're here at the No Kings rally to protest everything the Trump administration is doing to destroy the future for American families. We need to keep fighting for health care. We need to fight for better education. We need to fight to help our local governments do all the great work that they do.
Who got the power? We got the power. What kind of power? Power.
This is a people-powered movement standing behind us. Thousands of people from all over our county and our region have come out to make their voices heard, to say enough is enough. Democracy matters, and they are fighting for their country. And we're so happy to be here, to hear their message and to be with our friends here.
And thank you for all the people, the great Americans who came out today, wherever they are, here in Rochester and across the country.
Democrats in the House were in D.C. this week working on behalf of the American people. House Republicans were again on vacation for the third straight week. That's completely unacceptable. And I note again that Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House. If Donald Trump simply gave the order to his Republican House and Senate leaders and said, end this shutdown, they would do it.
Presidents are not kings. Laws are not suggestions. There is no rebellion. There is no invasion. There's a long-standing understanding you don't deploy the military against peacefully protesting Americans, and you don't bring them in unless there's a rebellion. It's shocking to watch a member of the Trump team walk up to a woman who's totally obeying instructions and just spraying her straight in the face with pepper spray, watching them march protesters 3 blocks away. Protesters are peaceful, but they have videographers behind them, and then they start throwing down pepper balls and tear gas to film it, to try to create the impression of chaos where there wasn't chaos. It's Trump creating the chaos because he wants violence and chaos to justify more authoritarian power. This is an incredibly perilous moment for our nation. This is straight out of the authoritarian playbook. Ring the alarm bells, understand what's going on, and get engaged. This takes the citizenry of the United States saying, hell no, we're going to defend and restore our We the People Republic.
Again, in the grand scheme of things, the Hatch Act, which forbids the sort of overt partisan use of the government, is maybe not as grave as, prosecuting someone. But you have a letter along with Senator Reid about these violations, particularly the Gnome video that they won't show. Federal law clearly prohibits using federal funding for partisan political activities. This is a violation of the Hatch Act and the Anti-Lobbying Act. Are you at least happy to see the airports pushing back?
I spoke to our caucus just recently, and the airports of the country are actually standing up to the Secretary of Homeland Security in a way that none of us would have predicted. Yeah. And you were right to highlight earlier in this show that there are also glimmers of resistance from the universities, from the press at the Pentagon. Mm-hmm. And it is a very heartening sign that the airports that are being handicapped in many ways by the failure to pay the TSA and the air controllers are saying no to Kristi Noem. We're not going to spread your political propaganda. We're going to stand up to you, and we're going to do the right thing for the people who work here. And I think that this kind of political propaganda has no place being funded by taxpayer money.
Of all the places I don't want to hear political propaganda, the place I want to hear it the least is in an airport sitting on a TSA line. Senator Richard Blumenthal, thank you for making time tonight.
Thank you.
Here in Massachusetts, we are the descendants of revolutionaries, and we get to walk on the hallowed ground that revolutionaries fought so hard against a monarchy every day. We are shaped by the stand taken just down the road in Concord 250 years ago, and with them, we will never kneel to a king. So thank you, Fitchburg. Keep demanding better. You deserve better. And let's fight together. Thank you.